Cumulative frequency curves can also be drawn for group data. Very straightforward to do this. It's exactly the same process as for any other frequency table, but you have to remember to use the upper value of the group or class when plotting the frequency. So yeah, let's use a set of grouped frequency data that we've already seen before. There are 5 classes in this particular set of data, and we're just going to add another couple of columns here. First column we're going to add is the upper value, and then we're going to add the cumulative frequency because we need a value to plot against the cumulative frequency. So the upper value of these ranges is very simple. You just take the upper value. Simple. So for the first one it's 10, the second one it's 20, and so on. And the cumulative frequency is 220. Then it's 220 plus 540, that's 760. Then we add 609 to that to get 1369, and so on down through the data set until we have those 2 columns completed. And we're now going to use those 2 columns, the upper value and the cumulative frequency, to plot the curve. So the upper value will be along our x-axis and the cumulative frequency will be up the y-axis, and we need to draw a suitable set of axes with as large a scale as possible. And then we plot the points. Given that we've only got 5 points here, it's not going to be so easy to see the S shape, but once we draw the curve in, I think you'll see that there is a definite S in there, even though it is a very, very, very elongated version. So drawing that was exactly the same as for any other cumulative frequency graph. The only difference being we use the upper value from the class to plot as our x value. We can then use this cumulative frequency curve in the same way we use any other. The quartiles can be found as we can do it for non-group data. So for example here, the position of Q2. Q2 is half of 2130 plus 1, so that would be 165.5. We draw our line across from the y-axis, and then we draw down to the x-axis to get our value for Q2. And the value for Q2 in this case is 25, so the median of this data set is 25. Previously, when working with this data set, we've only been able to say that the median fell into the 20 to 30 class. This enables us to get us a little bit closer to an accurate value for the median, should we require it. As we've said before, whenever we group data, we are losing information, and when we use a cumulative frequency curve in this way to get values like the median, they are only approximations. Generally speaking, if you draw your curves accurately, then they are very good approximations. The cumulative frequency curve can also be used to solve other problems, to find out other information from the data set. Remember, we've grouped all this data, so we've lost information about how many of each item of data there are. We don't know how many data items are greater than 35, for example, although our curve can help us find this out. Draw a line from 35 up to the ogive. The curve, remember, we call this curve type an ogive. So we go from 35 on the x-axis and draw straight up to the curve. Then we draw from there across to the y-axis, and we read off the value. So the value we read off there is 1600. So we've got a total of 2,130 items, we know that. So we need the number of those items that is greater than 1600. How many items greater than 1600? Well, it's 2,130 minus 1600, so there's 530 items. So our solution here is there's 530 items in this data set that we think are going to be greater than 35. Again, remember, this is an approximation. We don't know exactly how many. We can only approximate it from our curve. If we've drawn our curve slightly wrong, or the data isn't distributed evenly within the classes, then this number would be different. But we're only being asked to find an approximation here. We could use the same technique to find out how many data items there were between 25 and 30. It's very simple and straightforward to do that. You just do the same thing again and work out the relevant number. So to summarize, cumulative frequency curves can also be created for group data. We just have to remember to use the upper value of the class interval. So if your classes are 0 to 10, 10 to 20 and so on, you would use 10 and 20, so on, all the way through. You can then use the cumulative frequency curve to find out information about the data that has been lost within the grouping. So you can find the median, you can find values that are how many values within the dataset exceed certain values and so on. Again, you're going to get these questions more accurate the better you draw your graph, so use sharp pencils and don't be afraid to rub the whole thing out and start again if you think you've gone a bit wrong.